Hey friends, it's Mrs. Walker. Today for our lesson, we're going to work with another strategy for subtraction. So our learning goal is I can use the compensation strategy to subtract. So the materials that you'll need for this lesson are just your dry erase board. So make sure you have that or a piece of paper before we get started. All right, friends, here's our first problem. So we have 80 minus 50. Well, I could do like a quick draw to be able to model this problem. So I could draw 8 tens. Okay, and I could take away 50. So that would be 5 tens. So let's subtract 5 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And how many tens am I left with there? 3 tens. What's the value of 3 tens? 30, because we just have to count by 10 3 times. So here if I have 80 minus 50, right, that's our problem. For our tape diagram, our unknown is the difference. Well, when I add 10 to this number, to 80, and I add 10 to 50, I can make a new problem that's 90 minus 60. So notice how these problems are going to be the same even though they're different numbers. Or I should say, they're going to give me the same difference even though they're different numbers because I added 10 to both numbers. So I changed both numbers by the same amount. So let's model that where I can add, I had 8 tens on my picture there. Let's add in one more 10, right? Well, I subtracted 5 tens before, but my new problem is subtracting 60, so I need to subtract one more 10. So how many tens do I have left? 3 tens, so I still have 30 left. So now for this new problem, my unknown is 30. Okay, so we could check that with addition. So let's check it. So 50 plus 30, we could do that in our head, right? 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so that gives you my 80 that I started with. Let's check my 90 minus 60 with addition. So I would just add my two smaller numbers. So 60 plus 30, so 60, 70, 80, 90. So look at that, friends. I got the same number. So it's all part of like their fact family together. So when we're using this strategy, we're adding the same amount to both numbers. So let's look at another one. If I have 230 minus 180, and then I had another problem of 250 minus 200, which problem is easier to solve? Would you rather solve 230 minus 180 or 250 minus 200? I'd probably rather solve 250 minus 200 because it's got the zeros in the ones place. That makes it easier to subtract. So let's see how we can use these two problems to help us solve this. So I'm going to start with the problem at the top, which is 230 minus 180. So there's my 230. Here's my 180. Well, I need these numbers to get to that 250 minus 200. And really, friends, what I'm focusing on is I have to look at this number right here because it's the closest to 200. So if I look at 180, I need to see how much do I need to add to that to get to my 200. So if I have 180, I know I can count by 10. So 190, 200, that's 2 tens. So that's adding 20. Well, what I add to one number, I have to add to the other number. So now 230 plus 20 brings me to my number of 250, and 180 plus my 20 brings me to the 200. So now I could subtract this new problem as 250 minus 200. So pretty easily I could subtract in the ones place. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 in the tens place is just 5. And 2 minus 2 in the hundreds is 0. So the answer is 50. Now, I know that because these problems, even though they have different numbers, I added the same to both. That means that these are both going to have the same difference. So 250 minus 200 equals 50. Well, 230 minus 180 also equals 50. So friends, when we add the same amount to both numbers to make it equivalent or equal, we call this compensation. So this is the compensation strategy. What you add to one number, you have to add to the other number because you're making them equivalent or equal. And when the numbers end up becoming equal, you're going to get the same difference when you're subtracting. Okay, so let's take a look at another one. So we have 330 and 280. One of those numbers is pretty close to making an even 100, right? Is 330 closer to 300 or is 280 closer to 300? 280 is. So we could turn this problem into 350 minus 200. So what you guys are going to do is you are going to solve this problem, but I want you to draw that tape diagram. So you're going to start off with drawing your two numbers on your tape diagram that are in white. So you'll have 330 and 280. Then what do you need to add to 280 to get to 300? Whatever that amount is, you're adding to both numbers, and you should get to this problem right here, and that will be easier to subtract. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video. Give it a try on your own. I know this is a tricky strategy, but I know you guys can do it. So give it a try. If you can work on it, go ahead. If not, and you need a little bit of help, just keep playing and I'll help you through one more because there's several more to practice. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, give it a try, and then click play when you're ready to go over it together. All right, friends. So again, we started with our two smaller numbers, 330 and 280. Well, when I look at 280, I see that to get to 300, I need 290 and then 300. I need two more tens. So I need to add 20 to both of these numbers. Then if I have 330 plus 20, that gets 350. And 280 plus 20 equals 300. So now I have 350 minus 300. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So our difference is 50. And we could say that 350 minus 300 equals 50. But because we use the compensation strategy, we can also say that 330 minus 280 equals 50. So we used compensation, right? We added the same to both numbers to make them equivalent, to make it an easier problem to subtract. All right, let's take a look at another one. All right, so here we have 321 minus 200. I'm sorry, 321 minus 199. And we want to make it 322 minus 200. So I want you guys to pause the video. I want you to try and solve this problem using the compensation strategy. How did they get from 199 to 200? That's what you're adding to both numbers, and then you're solving. So pause the video, solve this problem with the compensation strategy, and then click play when you're ready to go over it together. All right, friends, so we have 321, 199. If I'm at 199, what do I need to add to that to get to 200? Just 1. So because I have to add 1 to 199, I have to add 1 to 321. It's the same adding to both numbers. So my new problem is 322 minus 200. It's a pretty easy one. So I have 2 minus 0 is 2. In the tens place, again, 2 minus 0 is 2. And in the ones place, 3 minus 2 is 1. So the difference is 122 for both problems because we used compensation. We made both of them equal to each other. All right, let's look at another one. So for this one, friends, we have 547 minus 498. If I look at those numbers, I want to make that subtracting number a more friendly number. So 498 is really, really close to what number, friends? What next 100? 500, right? So I need my new problem to have 500. So it would be 549 minus 500. Okay, so we have our two parts of our problem. What did we need to do to both numbers to use the compensation strategy? So go ahead and pause the video, add and use the compensation strategy to help it make it easier problem to subtract. And then click play when you're ready to go over it together. All right, friends, so here I added 2 to both numbers because 498 is only 2 away from 500. So now my new problem is 549 minus 500. So 9 minus 0 is 9, 4 minus 0 is 4, and 5 minus 5 is 0. So the difference is 49 for both problems. We used the compensation strategy. All right, friends, great job using the compensation strategy to subtract. You guys did an awesome job with that. So please head back on over to the module to see what you need to complete for your independent practice. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye, friends.